We are Man vs. Meeple, and for the week of January 9th through January 22nd, this is What's Next.
Welcome back to What's Next, the bi-weekly show where David and I walk you through all of the games coming to your friendly local gaming store. The holidays are over, David.
The holidays are over. I thought we'd probably be done with a lot of releases, but we're not.
No, and there's actually a really good list of stuff coming out in the next 2 weeks. And we'll, again, of course, tell you about a friendly local gaming store in your area.
Yep. We have a great one to talk about this week.
We do. We'll let you start off with number 5.
Number 5 this week is called Raise Your Goblets. And this is from Simon. Yeah. We had a chance to play this at BGG Con.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I thought it was going to be kind of a silly little family game. And for the most part, it is kind of a silly little game, but it is so much fun.
It is fun.
Everyone has, actually, I have one here, one of these little goblets. And you're sitting there and you have little gems behind it, a card, a shield. And you're either pouring wine, which is a certain color gem, or putting poison, or moving your goblets, or swapping with someone else. So basically, by the end of the game, you don't know generally what is in your goblet.
Right.
And then once someone's poured all their wine, they can propose a toast. Right. At which point everyone has to drink their wine.
Right.
So you find out what you have in there. The cool aspect here is it's not just like, oh, you died. At the beginning of the game, you get a person secretly that you're trying to kill.
With a goal.
Yeah, you have a goal that you're trying to poison that person, or he's trying to poison this person.
Right.
So that really makes this more of a game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's not just sort of a silly throwaway. You're actually trying to manipulate the goblets, but I have to admit, it is really hard to keep track of everything.
Right. But I think that's the point of it, right? It's meant to be a fun party-style game. A lot of shades to A Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly. It might be poisoned. It might not be.
Right. You also have number 4.
Yeah, number 4. We just played this recently. It's Key to the City, London. And we just did a review of this. So if you want to check that out, definitely check that out on our channel. I had never played Keyflower or any of the Key games, so this was my sort of introduction.
They're a very popular line of games.
It is very popular. I'm surprised I had never played one. This is a great introduction, though, as you've said. It's a very sort of streamlined version of those games. Would you say it's probably the best of the bunch?
I like this game better than Keyflower because it introduces the mechanics of the worker placement style, where you're putting around a tile and then outbidding other players, and it doesn't have all the extraneous rules that go along with what Keyflower typically has. So it's easy to learn, but there's still a lot of strategic depth in this game.
Yeah, they've taken some of the workers out of the equation. There was 4, now there's 3.
Yeah.
They've added the bag where you're drawing the workers, so there's a little element of
surprise,
chance and surprise with the workers that you're going to get.
Right.
But there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of game, and it also, my favorite thing about this game is it moves quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it says 120 minutes, but it played in about an hour and 15 minutes.
Absolutely. When we've played it with 3 players, it was definitely less than that.
Yeah.
It really clips along at a nice pace, and it's a lot of game for a short amount of time, so I really, really like it.
I like the graphic design on this game, too.
Oh, it's gorgeous, too. Yeah, and if you're a fan of London, it's a great little, sort of a geography lesson because of all these landmarks. And it has, in fact, a separate rule book, right, with a lot of that flavor. Yeah.
My number 3 is Mansions of Madness Beyond the Threshold.
Already in Mansions.
This is the first official expansion to the 2nd edition of Mansions of Madness. It comes with 2 new investigators, a new creature, some new tiles, and of course new cards that get intermixed with the base game. And of course it comes with a downloadable scenario that you can play through. We're both huge fans of Mansions of Madness.
Yeah, I just got my own personal copy of the game just about a few weeks ago, so I'm gearing up to run my group through that. So I'm probably a little ways away from this one, but I definitely want to get it when it comes.
This is supposed to be about a 2-hour scenario to go through. I have not seen the actual physical download for it yet, but I do have the components, and they're, of course, awesome.
Sweet. What's number 2?
I have number 2 as well. This one is Letters from Whitechapel, Dear Boss. This game came out in 2011, so it's been a long time since we've seen anything. This is actually the first expansion.
Yeah, there's never been one, right?
There's never been an expansion. This, in my opinion, is probably one of my favorite deduction games. I love this game. And what they've added here is actual miniatures, 12 of them, that will be introduced into the game. Because right now they just use the wooden components. And they look fabulous. But they also introduced some game balancing mechanisms. If you find the Jack player winning a lot, or you find the investigators winning a lot, there's cards that can be introduced. Oh. There's cards for Jack, which make it harder for him to be at specific hideouts. They have introduced cards for the victims, and they've introduced cards for the investigators, where depending on which investigator you play, if you're the lead investigator that round, you get a special ability that all the other investigators will be able to piggyback off.
Yeah, I definitely want to try this. Of all these games, this is the one that piqued my interest first. Interestingly enough, I've not played it yet. I've played Fury of Dracula. I've played Last Friday, in fact. Not played Whitechapel yet, so we'll have to try this with the
history
expansion.
lesson for you guys. Dear Boss, it seems like a weird name, right?
Yeah, it is.
It was actually a letter that was supposedly sent to a London newspaper that was written by Jack the Ripper himself and then given to Scotland Yard. There's some debate on whether or not it was really written by Jack the Ripper, although some people claim that it is, and there's a lot of evidence that says that it is. So it's a piggyback off of that history lesson there. My number one.
What's number one?
I've said this so many times before. This is probably, if not one of my favorite games, my favorite game of all time. It is being reprinted and re-released. It's Twa, and it is a fantastic dice, area control, worker placement style game. And there's also the Ladies of Twa, and they're both being re-released by Asmodee. Fantastic.
Yeah, you love this game.
I love this game. It takes place around 4 centuries of the French city of Troyes, in which players are going to be using civilians and military and religion to manipulate your own segment of those areas, but also borrowing from other people's dice, while you're communally as a group trying to manage raiders and other kinds of bad events that can happen. So you're helping each other and you're hurting each other at the same time. It's got some really clever dice stuff in it as well.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I played this once with you, and I remember once upon a time I'd look at this box and think it wasn't for me. It does have that kind of art that I can imagine people will like it or dislike it. I really like it because it's got a lot of flavor for that sort of time period.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of interesting decisions, and it feels like when you're doing things, you're not only helping yourself, but you're almost always hurting someone else as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Those are our top 5 games, but there's a whole list of things. You can go check out our website at manvsmeeple.com to see a full list. Make sure you guys watch the ticker below, too. There's an entire list that we have there. And we also have a friendly local gaming store.
This week, we want to talk about the Game Annex. Again, right here in Indiana.
We like Indiana. We're from here. We can't help it.
We're keeping it home. It's up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Game Annex, run by Dawn and Scott Studebaker. This is a really good store. It's been running for 4 years now. Yeah. And if you look at the pictures, it's really nice. Just like the kind of store that we like. It's really kept up nicely. Interestingly enough, they have an interesting story about their bathroom. They have one of the nicest bathrooms, I'm told, in all of friendly local game stores. I guess a customer had taken a picture of it and tweeted it, and it went kind of viral a little bit. But on a serious note, that is one of the things that's really important. You know, when you have a big game space, you have to, you're playing in there for a couple hours. You need, facilities, if you will, that are really nice, and it just shows kind of the care and attention that these owners put into their store. One of the big things they like to try to do here is create a third place, is what they call it. You know, people have their home, their work, and you want that third place, like a bar or a restaurant, a community. Yeah. So they've really, really tried to stress that, and so far, I think they're doing a really good job there.
Yeah, we haven't been there, but we've both looked at their Facebook page, and they have built a community of gamers there. I mean, they have events, they go to movies together as large groups of people.
Yeah, it's almost family-esque, really, it seems.
Really interesting. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you go to our website. If you guys want to submit your store as well to our list, please contact David and I on our own Facebook page, and we'll get you guys down on the list. And check us out in 2 weeks as we come back for even more games hitting your friendly local gaming store.
Probably plenty.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.